Okay, you're back with us. We're still talking to Senator Butch Valdez. You have you talked about a platform of government, foreign policy.
Yes.
Three. There are three of these. Yes.
These campaign issues.
Yes.
The platform is different. But the campaign issues are electoral fraud,
Okay.
Dengvaksha,
Okay.
suppression of the truth about the Dengvaksha,
Okay.
and the third is what I just mentioned we dealt with, which is the high cost of electricity and the need for the president to act on it by declaring a state of emergency on EPIRA, suspension of EPIRA law, and then granting of 50% discount on electricity bills. One last sentence on this thing. The economists right now, in order to deal with the high prices, came up with a book solution of importing fish and rice.
Yes.
Right? And this is at the cost of the government. This will not end, and they will continue to import and maybe in greater amounts. So much so that, as you can see, the sectors, the fishing sector and the agricultural sector are going to be hit by importing of our food requirements.
You mean to say by the cartel?
Well,
it's a cartelized market.
It's a cartelized market, right?
Yes.
Okay. That's what's happening.
Yeah.
And we will be dependent on other countries for our survival.
Yes.
But if the president does this, declaring a state of emergency, granting 50% discount on, that's not coming from government. That's coming from the oligarchy that are in control of the power sector.
Yes.
And you are just lessening their profits, substantial profits, and giving it back to the people.
Yes.
Yeah. I think this is like flanking operation on the part of the president. He's the only one that has the love for country, love for people, and the courage to do this. If it is adequately explained to him. If you pass it through his economic advisors, it will never reach the president.
Of course.
Yeah. So we have to do that. That's the last thing I wanted to say. Okay. So on the Dengvaksha, it's very, very important. I think, and the party thinks, this is a historically heinous crime. It's a heinous crime of historical proportions. Never has there been an administration or a leader that decided almost willfully to inoculate 1 million children. It's only 830,000, but his intention, knowing fully well that a big portion of this may kill thousands and thousands of children. He knew that. The Secretary of Health knew that, but the decision, the onus, was on President Noynoy Aquino.
Yes, yes.
I think this is.
You want a case filed against them?
Oh, short. Definitely. And I was asked at one time, what would you do as a party? I will try to enjoin our party mates, I said, to push for death penalty for a crime such as this. This is mass murder.
Or life imprisonment.
Whatever is the maximum penalty. This is, you see, this is mass murder.
Yes.
Of innocents.
Yes.
Those are all aggravating circumstances. And this should never happen again.
Okay.
Because inoculation is a needed health service.
Okay.
Right? And if the people no longer trust the Department of Health because of what they had done, there will be, granted, there will be more deaths because the people had lost trust in this.
Yes.
We have to reestablish that trust by a determination of the government to punish under no uncertain terms.
The people involved and the people responsible. Involved. Yeah.
The maximum punishment. And that's what the people need.
Okay. Before we go to electoral fraud, Butch, one quick stab at a question which I failed to ask you. Would you agree that in nationalizing, let's say, the power sector, to make it more popular, the consumers can be actually the stockholders?
Yes.
That would be a very popular move, no?
Yes, yes. We can establish foundations, in much the same way they did with Meralco before.
Yes.
wherein you spread out the ownership
Yes.
of the public utility. In the same way, it can be done. You can do it for the Bataan nuclear power plant.
Okay.
You can do it for other power plants, wherein you can get a socialized equity structure. But
Even
management,
even the water system.
yes,
Okay.
as long as it's their infrastructure. But management
Has to be government.
has to be professional,
Okay.
and controlled by government.
Okay.
And the idea there is to see to it that all of these public utilities are not going to be financial burdens to the people.
Okay.
Because that is the duty of government, is precisely to provide these public utilities.
Okay. Okay. Now we go into electoral fraud. A while ago, you were talking that, of course, you mentioned winning will be a miracle, and this will be coupled and with the added burden of electoral fraud. So,
Yes.
how's that?
Well, it has been known ever since we used Smartmatic, which was in 2010, that the manipulations of these were questionable. And then we looked at the constitutionality. If you look at the Constitution even now, you will see that the only organization mandated to run elections is the COMELEC. It is not allowed to delegate part or in whole any of its functions. Well, what happened was somehow the Supreme Court at the time, 2010, allowed it with certain qualifications, conditions. Those conditions were never met.
Yes.
They were never met in succeeding elections all the way to 2016.
Yes.
They were never met. What is important is we go back to the Constitution, say no foreign, no entity, especially foreign entities, must be allowed to intervene in our elections.
Yes.
It must be COMELEC's responsibility. That's number one. Now, the reason we say electoral fraud, there are issues before, and there are issues we think is going to happen the next one. Because there was a midnight signing of this COMELEC reestablishing Smartmatic as the entity that will hold our elections, right? Which means that they don't give a blank about our people's concerns. They know that they can buy elections. How much? We just heard yesterday that the list of the so-called senators are already made, and that the survey companies are going to be preparing.
So you mean to say the list of winning senators are already ready?
Already ready, and the
Survey companies
survey
will just
companies and mainstream media are going to be
will lay the
manipulated.
predicate.
Will lay the predicate, and this has been done before, right? And they're going to do it again.
This will be a
now.
repeat again.
Yes, and more than $1 billion has already been committed for this. What is $1 billion to George Soros? It's only $20 million. It's like loose change to him, even if you double that.
But let
And
me
what
ask you
does it take? What does it take to usurp the Filipino people? 50 million voters.
what's the interest of George Soros in
George
the Philippines?
Soros-
In the Philippines.
You mean financial
Yeah,
interest?
yes.
Drugs.
Is it because he is pushing for the legalization of drugs? That's his.
It's not just that. He wants us to be a main producer of drugs. You must understand that our drugs is already in the international circuit. If I may give me
we are the producers of illegal drugs. That's what
Yes,
you're saying.
yes.
For all over the world. That's the intention.
That's the intent.
Okay.
We're marketing it, right?
Okay.
When I was making a computation of the number of drug manufacturers here that were caught and neutralized by President Duterte, the total production was already in 2,000 kilos a day.
2,000 kilos
More
a
than
day.
2,000 kilos a day. Okay. But President Duterte says that we have 4 million users all over the country. And if you compute 4 million users using at 100 pesos per spent by an addict a day,
Yes.
just the minimum,
Yes. Yes.
it will total something like 400 to 500 kilos a day. So there is a difference of about 1,500
The demand is very
kilos.
high, you mean to say?
Well, 500 kilos
Yeah.
is consumed already by,
Yes.
by the Philippine market. What do you do with the 1,500?
you sell it out, yeah.
Okay, you export it.
Yeah.
But how do you export it? You have to pass through the banking system. When you pass through the banking system, you have to fudge documents.
Yes.
You're not saying, I'm going to export shabu, right? So you have to fudge documents saying, this is what we're exporting. And the banks looks and checks your company and knows that you're not producing that. But the banks will turn
A blind eye.
a blind eye. Why? Because there's money for
involved.
them to be made,
Yes.
both officially and unofficially,
Okay.
right? So it's exported. But when you export it, that's converted to dollars, right?
Yes.
And it has to be paid back to you.
Yes.
When it's paid back to you, where does it go? It passes through our central bank.
Yes.
And the central bank also sees that there's tremendous amount of dollars coming in.
Yes.
But we're not exporting that much garments
Okay.
or furniture, right? So what does the central bank again do? No, it turns a blind eye, right? So it comes in. What is the other way of bringing it in? The other way of bringing it in is you just establish a company in Hong Kong or in somewhere else, no? And bring in the money as foreign investment, and you pass it through the stock markets,
And then?
right? And then it is foreign investment, and then you convert it again to cash, and you're able to bring it in. Or of course the other way is through the gambling casinos. No? So there is a system for it to be able to be brought in. But these are all, even if you're talking of billions or trillions of pesos, it is still.
Investment in drugs, that's what you're saying.
Yes. And who is the biggest drug dealer in the world? George Soros. That's his business.
Okay.
Right? And he is the guy that is involved in with Trillanes, Lenny Robredo, Gascon. Look at where they go, these Trillanes and Robredo. Their speaking engagements are in organizations that are anti-drug war and drug legalization organizations. There you are.
Very, very briefly, just to catch the eye of our people, you're saying, I'll give you the choice. Who is the Comelec Junior and who is the Comelec Senior? Smartmatic is the Comelec Junior or is the Comelec Senior?
It's Comelec Senior.
So that's very clear. So Smartmatic is not the
Yeah,
Comelec Senior.
Because it has the money
Okay.
to buy Comelec Junior.
Okay, so at least that's how we frame our our discussion on that point. So, given all this, Butch, no, the fraud, Smartmatic, you're in here for as a cause, no longer for exactly winning or for exactly, well, maybe
No.
you will win, no? But what I'm saying is you're here because it's a cause already. It's not just a political
Yeah, let me
movement.
pray this. I always said this. We want to win. We really want to win. Using the basic sources that we have, even if they're meager sources.
Okay.
We will voice out because we believe in the people and we believe the ideas will catch on to the people. Okay. That's what we want. But we don't have to win. The reason I say we don't have to win is because if we say we have to win, we may compromise our
Ourselves.
principles,
Yes.
right?
Very good point.
So we say we want to win, and we believe the people, if they know they are going to join us in making these changes for the country. There are traditional politicians around them. It's still not too late for them to turn around and support this whole change. But if they don't, maybe the people will get rid of them this election or the coming elections, because there is a limit to the patience and tolerance of the Filipino people.
That will be the way we're going to end this program. Thank you very much, Butch. It's good to see you again. It's
Maraming
good to see you.
salamat po.
It's always very refreshing to listen to new voices, new ideas, especially ideas that make a lot of sense, especially since we need to revisit them after what is happening to us. So wala na po tayong panahon, wala na po tayong oras. Ako po si Eric Espina, palaging nagsasabi, magmasid, makialam, higit sa lahat ay manindigan. dahil wala pong magmamahal sa Pilipino kung hindi ang Pilipino. Daghang salamat, maayong gabi kaninyong tanan.
Thank you.